Good morning, everyone. Happy money making Monday. Happy new start to the week. Just happy Monday, y'all. Okay, I'm excited to do this call with you guys. We had such a great daily devotion last week. Friday, I was like, yeah. So I will be we're gonna continue that, to be honest, okay? So let me go ahead and invite some people to today's call, and then we shall go ahead and get started with the word. Because I'm excited. When I got up this morning, I read my Bible. I read it and I was like, okay, this is some information I want to share. It's always information I want to share, especially in this chapter, because this particular book is so needed. Like, we all need this book. Like, this book teaches you just about so much that you wouldn't even realize that there are little things that we do in our day-to-day lifestyle that could potentially be stopping us, into getting into the land of overflowing milk and honey. So let's get a start to it now. All right. So we are in Numbers chapter 13 and 15. So with today, I'm not necessarily going to read it over because I've already read it. There's just certain things that I've read in here that I want to share with you guys. But of course, before I get into that, I'm going to give you just the overall context of just kind of, what's going on. Okay? So in the beginning of chapter 13, so as you guys know, Moses is leading them through, and God is it has them in the wilderness. And last week we spoke about how the Israelites were complaining. They were just complaining about how they weren't getting the food that they wanted. They were just complaining about how life was just so hard, and then how they missed being in Egypt. So for chapter 13, what happened was God asked Moses to pick out 12 servants that can go over to this land of milk and honey, which is literally just across the oasis. He said, pick out 12 of these men that I want you to send over to the oasis. I want them to go over, check out the land, right? And Moses told them, this is what Moses said I want you to do. He said, here are the instructions for when you go to explore this land. It says, go north through the Negev into the hill country, see what the land is like, and find out whether the people living there are strong or weak, how many of them are there. See what kind of land they have. Is it good or bad land? Do their towns have walls? Are they unprotected like open camps? Is the soil fertile or is it poor? Are there many trees? Right? It says, do your best to bring back samples of the crops that you see. Right? Because they just want to see what that land has to offer. So this is the part of the story, y'all. Right? Where I'm just like, these people are just driving me crazy. So Moses did as the Lord said, and he gathered up his 12 people. Those 12 guys that he gathered up, they go over to this amazing promised land that God has promised them, the land of milk and honey. They go over there, they see what the land has to offer. They see that it's abundant. They see that there's so much fruits. There's so much just life there. They see all of that, but then there are giants there, like giants that, kind of like the giants that that went against David and Goliath, but Goliath didn't win. So they saw giants there, and it kind of freaked them out. So they go back to the Israelites. Remember, y'all, all that Moses wanted them to do was just to go over there and, scope out the land a little bit and then come back with what they see. So they did do that. They came back. They spoke to Moses and Aaron, and they're like, guys, we cannot go over there. Yeah, they have all this stuff, but they have giants, and those giants will defeat us at any given time. We cannot go over there. We're not going to do it. So there was one guy out. There was two guys out of the two disciples. It was Joseph and Caleb, right? It was two guys that were like, no, we need to go. Like, you know, God said that if we go, when he takes us to this promised land, like he said he wants to, he's going to protect us. He's going to be our protector. He's going to be our guide, like he's been our guide throughout this whole time, from helping us get out of Egypt as slaves, to taking us through the wilderness, to now finally getting to the promised land. And of course, it's 2 against 10. And everybody else, all the Israelites, all 600,000 of them, guess who they listened to? They listened to the naysayers, to the non-believers. So guess what? They never make it into the promised land. So now God is furious. He's like, I just asked you guys to go over there, scope it out, come back to tell your people, get them excited about what's to come. But now you've implanted fear into them. You've implanted this fear into them, right? And I'm just like mind blown, because I'm like, these Israelites are so like, ugh. Like, it's just annoying me. I'm looking at it like, are you kidding me? Is this what a lot of people go through? They never make it to their ultimate like purpose in life, or do the things that they're supposed to when God has so much in store for them, because they have fear, or because they listen to what other people are saying. Right? So God is furious, right? And I want to read some of the study notes with you guys, because y'all, it was getting good. I was in here like, oh my goodness, I can't believe these Israelites screwed up again. First, when they were complaining about not having food, God brings them fish, because he's like, you know, I'm going to let you guys take this fish until you get sick of it. And they still don't get it. They're just not getting it, right? So what happened was, when they went over to this other side, those 7 leaders, they stayed over there for 40 days. God wanted them to scope out the land for 40 days. So they stayed over there for 40 days, y'all. And that's where the 40 years of suffering came from, because God was like, I'm going to make you suffer for every single day that you guys spent over there in that land, because you guys came back to pour out, you know, your opinions on these people. And it speaks about how your opinions could be, people take opinions as facts, right? Just think about like the election and the presidency. A lot of these stuff are opinions. A lot of them are opinions, and people take other people's opinions as facts and run with it, and then they don't know why they're not living their purpose. Is because they're not listening to God's will. Instead, they're listening to the opinions of others. Like, come on, y'all. So now, let me get into it, because I was reading it like, this is some powerful stuff right here, okay? And y'all, I be getting into it like really early, so I'm sorry if you guys missed some of it, because like when I start the daily devotion, I'm gonna dive right into it. So we've been in it for like a good 5 to 6 minutes, and we already into it. So now, let me read to you, because that was literally just the context, y'all. Now I'm going to read to you guys some of the study notes that align with it, because I need us to understand, you know, the little mishaps that they had, and how we can better ourselves by doing not what they did, right? So after them spending their 40 days in there, and they coming back to share their opinions of fear and implanting all that fear into the Israelites, you know what they say? They're like, let's go back to Egypt, guys. Let's go back to Egypt. And I'm just like, what is wrong with these people? And when you think about it, it's like our whole world. I can look at so many people and see how something as small as this played a huge factor in their lives. 40 years that they didn't get to go into the promised land, y'all, because of what they did. 40 years. So now, it says, oh, this was a part of 12. Okay, I did want to talk a little bit about that, but I'm going to get into that, because that was last chapter. But that was a really good note too. So here it says that Moses decided what information was needed before they could enter the promised land. Like I said in the beginning, it said here, Moses gave the 12 men specific instructions. He said, God told me to handpick 12 of you all, go over to the promised land and scope it out. These are the things I need you to be looking for, right? Go to the north of Negev into the hill country. See what the land is like. Find out whether the people there are strong or weak. See what kind of land they live in. Is it good land? Is it bad land? Are there lots of trees, right? Do your best to bring back samples of the crop. Is the soil fertile? Is it good? These are the instructions he said to do. All I want y'all to do while y'all there for these 40 days is just to, scope out the land. That's it. Scope out the land, right? So it says that Moses decided what information was needed before the people could enter the promised land, and he took careful steps to getting that information. When you are making decisions or assuming new responsibilities, remember these two important steps. Ask yourself what you need to know about the opportunity, and then obtain the knowledge. That was like me when I started Total Life Changes. I said, okay, what is it that I need to learn about and know about this opportunity? First thing first is what I learned about the opportunity, what did I need to know was that, okay, the CBD industry is expected to grow. Just so happened I got my It's Time for CBD shirt on. I'm like, okay, I know that the CBD industry is expected to grow, but I'm not knowledgeable on what CBD is. I know that people are becoming more and more health conscious, but I'm not knowledgeable on the things that they should use to become more healthy, right? So I had to then obtain the information. I had to do my due diligence. I had to go out there and research. That's what these guys are meant to do. Go out there and research, okay? So now it says that common sense is a valuable aid in accomplishing God's purposes for our lives. All right. So now they come back with a report. Okay. They go out there and they come back with a report. And I'm going to read this to you all. After exploring the land for 40 days, the men returned. The men returned to Moses, Aaron, and the whole community. They reported to the whole community what they had seen and showed them the fruit they had taken from the land. They had picked up grapes from the land because remember, Moses said, bring back something, he said, bring back some sort of sample of the crops that you see. So they saw nice juicy grapes. Remember, they was already complaining in the wilderness about how they missed their watermelons and all the fruits that they had. So they see these nice juicy grapes. Wouldn't you be getting excited? Wouldn't you be like, oh my goodness, God is really bringing us closer to the promised land. Like, I can't wait to get back to tell all the people all the amazing things that's there. We've been complaining for all this time. But y'all, listen to what they say. Let's get into it. They're like, they reported to the whole community what they had seen and showed them the fruit that they had taken from the land. This was their report to Moses. We entered the land you sent us to explore, and it is indeed a bountiful country, a land flowing with milk and honey. Here is the kind of fruit it produces, right? Showing them the grapes. But, right? The people living there are just way too powerful for us. And their towns are large and fortified. We even saw giants, the descendants of Anak, right? They live there, okay? The Hittites, the Jehubites, I don't know how to pronounce all of it. The Amorites live in the hill country. The Canaanites live along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, along with the Jordan Valley. But Caleb, he was another guy that came with them, right? He tried to quiet them down because he's like, y'all over here trying to tell them all about the bad when you forgetting about all the good we saw. Y'all over here trying to tell them about the bad and why we shouldn't go over there, right? So Caleb, he tries to quiet them down, and he says, let's all go at once to take the land, he said. We can certainly conquer it. Why does he say this? Because he's moving with faith. He's trusting in what God has in store for them because God is the one that said it. I am going to take you from Egypt through the wilderness to the promised land. It's a part of his will for your life. Remember, God has a will for our life, but a lot of us don't go his way. We go the opposite way because we're too, and it's crazy. They talked about this at church yesterday. They talked about this exactly at church. Oh, thank you. Thank you. They had talked about this at church yesterday. It's like, oh God, I know you want me to do this, but I'm gonna do it my way instead. Oh God, I know you keep telling me I should do this, but I'm comfortable over here. I'm gonna just do it how I want to do it, right? And then we wonder why we're not living this fulfilled life that God really has for us, the purpose and his will for our life, because we're doing it our way, the fearful way, the not trusting him way, how we feel way, giving into our emotions way, not doing the assigned works on our life because we're too full of emotions. We're letting other people take us down. We're getting so caught up in how somebody else feels. We're allowing the other people's opinions to dictate our lives. Do y'all hear? It's right in the word. How can you be a true believer but not walk in faith? That's what I don't get. Okay? So let's get back into the word. Because these are the exact same people that are not walking in faith and wonder why they don't make it to the promised land. Okay? So now let's get back into it. So here, right? So Caleb, he's like, for sure we can conquer this. We can conquer them. God is the one who told us we need to go over there anyways. So if God is telling us we need to go to the promised land, that's where he wants to take us. Clearly he's going to be with us like David and Goliath. God was with David. That's why he was able to defeat those giants. So now, back to it, right? So now it says, so Caleb is like, so we can surely conquer it. And the other guys are like, we disagree. We can't go up against those giants. They are stronger than we are. So they spread their bad report upon all the Israelites. Remember, it's 600,000 of them that God is trying to bring into the promised land. So now they go spread their fear on all 600,000 of the people. Y'all, this is how opinions affect our world. Okay, that's why I live in my truth. I gotta be in here because I can't be listening to what all these people are saying or I'm gonna be confused, okay? So now it says that we can't go against them. They're stronger than us. So they spread this bad report over to the land among the Israelites. The land we travel through and explore will devour anyone who goes over there. All the people we saw there are huge. They're gonna devour us. We saw giants. They're descendants of Goliath, right? Next to them, we felt like grasshoppers. Y'all, this is just too much for me. I was reading this like, I can't handle this. I can't believe these people are doing this to their own people, y'all. And it's so true. Like, this is our world. We live in fear and we put our fears onto other people. You have to be aware, and this is why you have to be so discerning of the spirits. You have to ask God for, the ability to discern spirits, because people will put their fear on you. And then you don't work and you don't live in God's will for your life because of what somebody put on you. So you have to discern those spirits, y'all. You have to discern those spirits, because if not, you're going to get caught up into their opinion and you're going to think it's true. And then you're going to start sharing that opinion that you now think is a fact, right? And here it says imagine standing before a crowd and loudly voicing an unpopular opinion. It says that Caleb was willing to take the unpopular stand to do as God had commanded. To be effective when you go against the crowd, you must, one, have facts. Okay, Caleb had seen the land, so he had facts. He saw how beautiful it was. He had the facts. 2, you have to have the right attitude. Caleb trusted God's promise to give Israel the land. He trusted his promise. 3, you have to state clearly what you believe. And Caleb believed that they can certainly conquer it because they had God on their side. I mean something else and blame something else, right? It said God told the Israelites, that the promised land was rich and fertile. Not only that, he promised that this bountiful land would be theirs. This is what he promised them. When the scouts reported back to Moses, they gave plenty of good reasons for entering the land, but they couldn't stop focusing on their fear. And their talk of the giants and the fortified cities made it easy to forget about what God's promise was to help them get there, to help them conquer it. God said, this is going to be your land. This is going to be your land. Forget about the giants. I already told you. That's why you got to walk. You have to walk in God's confidence. That's what we call Godfidence. Having this Godfidence. Okay? At church, they said, the definition of Godfidence is being assured in what God can do for you, knowing that you can't do without God. So yeah, they see giants, right? But now you got to walk with this Godfidence, knowing that I know I can't defeat the giant. But because I know God is on my side and God is the one who said, come on over, I'm going to have Godfidence that we will conquer these giants and this land will be ours. But they ain't have no Godfidence, y'all. I need y'all to walk with Godfidence, okay? I'm going to pray that over y'all at the end of this, that we all have Godfidence. Because we don't want to be like the Israelites and miss out on this land of milk and honey. We don't want to miss out on the opportunity that God has for us because of our fear, because we're not walking with this Godfidence. Okay? So now it says, when facing a tough decision, don't let the negatives cause you to lose sight of the positives. Weigh both sides carefully. Don't let potential difficulties blind you to God's power to help and his promise to guide. That is God's promises in truth. Remember, as a believer, you got to have so much faith. I mean, crazy faith. You got to have so much faith. Clearly, Moses picked the wrong people. I should have been a part of it, and Moses should have picked me. Okay, so I could have walked over to that promised land and be like, y'all, it's got everything over there that God said we had, that God said was going to be over there is there, y'all. I can't believe it. We don't got to eat manna every day. We don't got to eat bread every day no more, y'all. Look at these grapes that I got. Look at them. Right? We don't got time to be talking about the giants. I could see the giants and still not even be phased because I'm be like, God told me to come over here, so clearly them giants about to be my friends, okay? Because God said he wanted me over here, so they about to be my friends. I'm not looking at them as enemies. Clearly, if I stayed over there for 40 nights and I didn't get attacked and I came back over here fine and healthy and dandy, I shouldn't be fazed about the giants. So now, I'm reading my study Bible from my New Living Translation. So now it says that this I'm reading the study notes right now. I read through the scriptures already by myself, so now I'm just doing the study on them. So now, and like I said, if you all are very welcome, and as you should, because you want to know your own truths for yourself, go back and read this chapter. Go back and read chapter 13. Chapter 13. Like, it's really good, y'all. So now, it says in the study notes, where was it? It says, although, this other land, Kadesh, was only an oasis in the wilderness, right? When the scouts returned to Kadesh from the new land, the people had decided to either enter the land or to retreat. They chose to retreat, right? They chose to retreat and they were condemned, and God told them that you guys are just going to end up wandering for the next 40 years, right? Because of what they chose to do. And so, like I said, I got to read it. I can't wait to get to that part. I get so excited, right? It says here, it says that, it says it was also in the wilderness that Moses disobeyed God. And like my heart kind of dropped when I read that. I was like, Moses disobeyed God. Oh my gosh. And that's in chapter 20. So I'm not there yet. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I almost fast forward and read to it. I'm that type of person. I'm the type of person that reads to the end of the book. Like reads the back of the book and then go back and read it. But I was like, I ain't going to do it to myself. Right? It says that Moses disobeyed God. And for this, he too was denied entrance into the promised land. Aaron and Miriam died there, for they could not enter the promised land either. Right? So now, where was I? Okay, we went through that. Okay, here. It says the negative opinion of 10 men caused a great rebellion among the people. Remember, it came down to the odds. Sorry, my poor Bible is just messed up. So this is a study Bible that I use that I absolutely love. I would definitely recommend it to anybody that, just trying to grow their relationship with God and study the Bible, the Life Application Study Bible. You see, I take this Bible everywhere. I travel with this Bible all around the world, and that's why it looks like this. I'm actually going to order a new one because I can't take this anymore. I'm going to get the portable one where it's a little bit portable. Okay, so it says that, remember, the Israelites, they ended up, it was 12 men they sent, and out of the 2 men, Caleb and Joseph, those were the 2 guys that said, we need to go over there. God said that this is our land. I know that we can conquer it, okay? But it's 10 against 2. So the negative opinion of 10 men caused a great rebellion among the people. Because it is a human nature to accept opinion as facts, we must especially be careful when voicing our negative opinions, right? Not just when others are, laying their opinions on us. That's why we need to be able to discern these spirits. But we need to be aware when we're laying out negative opinions, voicing negative opinions ourselves. We have to be aware of this, right? It says that what we say may heavily influence the actions of those who trust us to give good advice. Okay, people may be looking at you for influence, so you have to be aware of what you're saying to them. Are these things opinions or are they factual? Right? Are you just giving your opinion because of how you feel when it's not a fact? Because somebody could be watching you and taking that information and then running with it when it wasn't even factual. Block the negativity and move forward with all positivity. Facts. Okay? So now, right, the people, they are just like crying out, y'all. They're like freaked out. They're like, let's go back to Egypt. I don't want to do this no more. Right? Let's get into chapter 14. The people rebel. When the whole community began weeping aloud, they cried all night. Like, why are y'all crying? Y'all were like 3.5 seconds away from entering to this amazing land. And now you're crying because you listened to what somebody else said. Though those people did go over to the land, remember, they listened to those people because those people had such great influence on them. I'm telling y'all, they need to send me over there because I would have been like, let me go over there myself because y'all tripping. We've been following God way too long to be out here to be listening to what y'all saying. God has been leading us through. He parted the Red Sea for us. He brought us out of slavery. He brought us through the wilderness. And now we finally make it here. And y'all telling me we cannot go? Get out my way so I can make it over to the promised land like God said. Right? That's my mindset, okay? That's what I'm thinking over here. So now they're over here crying out all night, like in despair, depressed and sad. And now it's just like, oh my gosh, y'all just did this to yourselves. Right? Their voices rose in a great cry of protest against Moses and Aaron. If only we had died in Egypt. Now they talking about they should have just died. These people are ungrateful, y'all. This is why when I read this, I be livid. I be like, oh my gosh, I can't read this. I be sick of them. I'm like, y'all are just pathetic. That's what I'm thinking in my head. And this is why we got to read our Bibles, y'all, so that we can know what's going on. A lot of people have lost their identities because they're looking for validation from people. Girl, speak it. People are out here looking for validation from people instead of from their God. Just like we spoke about earlier. Remember, they were complaining to each other, complaining to their peers, instead of actually making their requests be known unto God. Just like it says in scripture, make your requests be known unto God. Don't be anxious for nothing. Why are you out here being anxious? Why are you out here being sad? Why are you out here being depressed? Let your requests be known to God. And for he is the one that's going to give you the peace. He is the one that's going to give you the answer. He is the one that's going to give you the validation. Right? So now, it says when the court, okay, so now they're like, we should have just died in Egypt, y'all. They just pissing me off. I'm over here like, I cannot with these ungrateful people. They are the chosen people. God chose them, y'all. When we were at church yesterday, we were talking about how they were enslaved for 400 years. And God heard their cries. They were crying out, and God heard their cries. And he's like, I'm going to free you guys from slavery. It's been far too long. And that's why, y'all, we got to help our people. We got to help our people for real. Okay? We got to help our people. Because we're crying out, and God's going to save us. But he wants to bring us to the promised land. But we cannot screw up. We cannot screw up. That's why I had to read Numbers. I'm like, I got to read Numbers. Numbers has been on my mind for the past 2 months, and I have yet to read it. I said, I need to read Numbers so I don't mess up. Okay? So now, they said we should have just died out in Egypt. Right? They said, so now, I laugh because this is comical to me, but it's really not funny because people really do live this life. I'm just grateful for the knowledge and the wisdom to know better. You know, because I'm not better than anybody, and we're not better than other people. We just, some people just lack the wisdom, right? They just lack the wisdom, and that's it. So it says that if only we had died in Egypt or even here in the wilderness, they complained. Why is the Lord taking us to this country only, guys? It says, this is what they're crying out. It says, why is the Lord trying to take us to this promised land only to have us die in a battle? Because now they're thinking, oh my gosh, if we go over there, we're just going to die because we're going to get attacked by these giants. You see what the mind does? Oh my gosh, y'all. Oh, Lord, we got to pray for ourselves, each other. We just got to, this is crazy. So it says, our wives and our little ones will be carried off as plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to just return to Egypt? Then they plotted among themselves. Let's choose a new leader and go back to Egypt, guys. Forget Moses. Moses doesn't know what he's talking about. Moses is just crazy. I don't know why he brought us to this land. Let's just go back to Egypt where we were slaves. And at least there we got fish, even though we got beaten down. At least there we got fish and watermelon, and we got real food. This is just crazy. This is how they are complaining. Think about yourself. Are you doing these type of complaints? So it says here, when the chorus of despair went up, everyone joined in. Their greatest fears were being realized. Losing their perspective, the people were caught up in emotion of the moment. They were caught up in emotion of the moment, forgetting what they knew about God's character. Did they forget that God parted the Red Sea for them? Did they forget that God guided them through the entire wilderness with his cloud? Are they forgetting this? This is why when I prayed over us last week, Friday, is that we remember. Because that's the biggest thing that we don't do, is that we keep forgetting. We're not remembering what God has already brought us out of. That's why if I go through any test, if I go through any trial, I just remember all the great things that God has already brought me out of. And I'm like, oh, he about to do it again. If he did it before, he can do it again. If he did it before, he can do it again. I love that song. When I listen to these praise songs, I be having to remember. If he did it before, he can sure enough do it again, but they're not remembering this, y'all. Exactly, Paula. They lost faith. They lost faith. Right? It says, what if the people had spent as much energy moving forward as they did moving backwards? Right? They could have enjoyed their land. Instead, they never even entered the land that they never saw. Oh my gosh. I can't right now. When a cry of despair goes up around you, consider the larger perspective before you join in. You have better ways to use your energy than to complain, y'all. You have so much better ways to use your energy than to complain. So now let me read this last part. No, I got 2 parts to read, okay? And then we'll be closing it out. It says, with great miracles, God had led the Israelites out of slavery through the desolate wilderness and up to the very edge of the promised land. Y'all, they were pretty much at the promised land. God guided them through the entire wilderness. And the only thing that was separating them was just this little oasis. Once they crossed that oasis, they are there. They made it to that oasis. They are literally just 2 seconds in from just walking in the door. Right? God opened the door for them. They're 2 seconds away from just walking into this land that they never entered. They just did it. They just made it all the way from Egypt. I would have been thinking like, God ain't bring me this far. He did not bring me this far to make me go all the way back. Right? Where is the faith in the people? God didn't bring you this far where you are now. Right? For you to just look at it and complain and be fearful of just stepping on the other side of the door. He didn't bring you this far, y'all. So let's get back into it. God had protected them. He fed them. And he fulfilled every single one of their promises. Exactly. No patience or faith. Yet when encouraged to take the last step of faith and enter the land, the people refused. After witnessing so many miracles, why did they stop trusting God? Why did they refuse to enter the promised land when that had been their goal since leaving Egypt? That was the goal since day one, and they were 2 steps away. And why would they just stop there? It's because they were afraid. You see what fear can do? Fear is like a spirit of the enemy. To be honest, rebuke it. As soon as you get fear, I rebuke this feeling of fear right now. I rebuke this feeling of fear. I be rebuking a whole bunch of stuff. I be like, I rebuke this feeling of fear. Because I know what you're trying to do, enemy. This is how I go to war with the enemy. I be like, I know what you're trying to do. I see you. I'm like, what God has in store for me is so good that you don't even want me to touch it because it's so good. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to put fear in me. Okay. I rebuke you right now. Because I see what you're trying to do. You wouldn't be trying to stop me if God didn't have something so good for me. But it's so good. And you know the enemy tries to stop people that's going to bring more and more people into the land. So clearly it's something good coming. I see you, enemy. I see you. That's how I go to war with the enemy, y'all. I had to rebuke the enemy yesterday. I'm like, I see you real good. You not about to get me. That's how I rebuke the enemy. I'll be like, I already know that you are coming for me a little too hard because God got something working for me right now. And you're like, oh my gosh, if she really attains that, she going to be bringing more and more people closer to God. And I don't want that. I need people to be confused. I need them to be all over the place. I need them to be living in fear. Y'all know what really helped me? Listening to the book and reading the book, Outwitting the Devil. If y'all ain't listened to it yet, it's really long on YouTube. It's like 4 hours long. But I listen to a little bit every day. And if you want to get the physical book, you could read it. Outwitting the Devil changed my perspective on so much in life. I'm like, dang, that's the enemy. That's the enemy. And even my book right here, this taught me so much. Fervent. When I did my book read, if y'all go back into my IGTVs, I did a book read on Fervent. This is how you go to war with the enemy, y'all. We got to be strapped up with our armors and how to go to war. But anyways, that's how I would be talking to the enemy, y'all. So they were so close. But they were afraid. They let the spirit of fear, that enemy, that bad spirit of fear get over them. Often, we do the same thing. We trust God to handle the smaller issues, but doubt his ability to take care of the big problems, y'all. That's when we need him the most. For the big problems. Oh, you're going to get Fervent, girl, get Fervent. Fervent is everything. Outwitting the Devil is everything. These little books help me. I actually finished reading this book yesterday. You know, yesterday was my Sunday time, and it's my self-care time. And self-care for me is developing my mind. And I ended up reading this whole book yesterday, the Dangers of the Mind. And it was powerful, y'all. Look at all these little notes I got in here. Like, it was very powerful what I was reading, because I was like, dang, I would love to talk to y'all about some of this stuff, but let me get back on task. Okay? So it says that often we do the same thing. We trust God to handle the small things, but we doubt his ability to take care of the big problems, the tough decisions, the frightening decisions. When you are scared and you're frightened, that's when you really got to call on the Lord. Like, God, I know that there's something bigger, greater for me. That's why I have this fear, because I might not even feel qualified for it. I might just be fearful of the great things that might be to come. I might be fearful because I'm so used to this struggle. I'm so used to this that I don't even know what this greatness feels like. So it's a little fearful. It's a little uneasy for me. It's a little off for me because I'm not used to those things, right? But we have to pray our way through it. Don't stop trusting God just as you are ready to reach the goal. You were so close. You done made it all this way. And just when you were about to reach the goal, you stopped trusting in him. He brought you this far and won't let you down. We can continue trusting God simply by remembering all that he has done. That's it, y'all. That is it. That was a word today. Every time I read Numbers, I'm like, dang, God, you did it again. You did it again, God. It's what I needed. Do not stop trusting in him. He's brought you guys way too far. We have to keep up the faith. We have to have crazy faith, y'all. Faith that people don't understand. I mean, they're going to look at you like you're crazy because it's that type of crazy faith. Because you already know what God has promised you. It's right here. So don't listen to the naysayers. Because their opinions, guess what their opinions going to do? It's going to stop you from doing what God wants you to do. It's going to stop you for the purpose that he has on your life. It's going to stop you from remembering what he has already brought you through. So let's close this out with some prayer. Whew, Lord Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this amazing word. Thank you so much for the people that, tuned in to receive this word. Lord, may you touch them, touch all of their hearts, Lord. Okay? Lord, before we get into deep prayer, thank you again for your son. Without him, none of us would be here today, because we would have all been struck down like the Israelites, because there has been so many times that we've complained about the small things and forgot about what you've done for us. There's so many times where we've complained about even the food that we eat because it's not to our liking, right? We complain about such small things and we forget that you are a miraculous God, a God of so many signs and wonder, that you can do things that we cannot even imagine. But Lord, I pray that we all, we leave here with a confidence, to know that we are, our confidence is assured, because we know that you are on our side, because we know that you are gonna get us through. You brought us through all these things in life. I don't know how old you guys are, but you brought us through all of this. So now our focus is just seeking your will and your purpose for our lives. And during that journey, during that seeking, I know it's not going to be easy for us. But help us, Lord, to remember how far you brought us, to remember how ungrateful the Israelites were, so that we don't live in this ungratefulness, so that we can glorify you even when we don't even see it, even when the naysayers try to lay their opinions out on us. Help us to have this crazy faith, to believe in your promises, and that you will take us to the land of milk and honey if we follow out your plan, if we let you guide us through. Okay? In Jesus' name, I pray, amen. Yes, y'all. That was a word today. Every day is a word. Every day is a word, y'all. I really, really, really enjoyed this daily devotion with you guys on today. Okay? It was something I needed. I know y'all needed it, because we all need it, because we need to know how to get into the promised land. Okay? And I know this, y'all. Another thing, I'll probably touch base on this tomorrow, because this is what I wanted to read as well. But I'm going to touch base on this tomorrow. So we'll finish the rest of chapter 14, because we stopped... Okay, so we stopped on, if you guys read this, if you guys go back and decide to read it, and then so that you could be caught up for tomorrow. We stopped in chapter 14. We did all of 13 already, and we stopped in 14 on verse 13. It says when Moses intercedes with the people, for the people. So now after people start complaining, Moses comes in and he intercedes. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, and you guys could definitely read it. And then we can all discuss it together. All right. Def like this daily devotion today. You are so welcome, Paula. You are so welcome. You guys have a great rest of your day. I'm speaking just peace over my day. Really to get the things done that I'm supposed to do, and not be anxious about my to-do list. So that's why I'm speaking peace over my life today. So y'all have a good rest of your day. And like I said, thank you again. I'll be back on here tomorrow. Tschüss, y'all.